Hi everyone, welcome to another one of our Friday Facts sessions. I don't know where everybody's listening in from, but I'm in St. Paul, Minnesota right now, and it is some beautiful weather outside, and I was going to give you guys this live feed from outside in my backyard, but there is a very busy street next to us, and all you guys would have heard was the car zooming around. I hope everybody is safe and getting outside and being active today. I'm going to give people a few minutes to get logged on here, but we have a really exciting topic for today in honor of Mental Health Month. We will be talking about, or I will be talking about and discussing with you guys about healthy minds in children and what it means to foster emotional health and the art, as you'd say, of reframing. So I'm just going to give people a couple more moments to log on. If you're watching live, feel free to comment or ask me questions. I'll try my best to answer them as I go. If you're watching after the fact, you can also comment and leave questions. I will do my best to follow up with the post for the next few days and try to answer any questions that I can, just to the best of my abilities. But yeah, gonna give it like 1 or 2 more minutes here, see if anybody pokes on. Okay, I'm actually going to get started then. So my name is Meaghan, and I have held multiple roles at Tender Touch over the last 8-ish years. Currently, I am assisting with the marketing department and doing some event management stuff and some project management stuff. And I am actually about to graduate in 8 days. From the University of St. Thomas with my bachelor's degree in health science, and for the last 4 years I've kind of been focusing on areas of like health promotion, psychology, and really on mental health promotion. And so our topic for today, like I said earlier, is that we're going to be talking about fostering the young mind and the importance of specifically emotional health and this art or this business of reframing. So just for reference for you guys during this video, when I'm talking about children or the young mind, I'm really referring to people anywhere aged from 0 to 25, because our brains don't stop growing and developing until we're 25. So I realized that when I was writing out my notes for this, that I fall into that category of the young mind or the young brain. But to me, that just makes this a more interesting topic for me, and I think I can deliver it better to you guys because I am recently, I remember being a teenager still, but I have gone through multiple years of education on this topic and this subject, and yeah, I'm just excited to talk to you guys about it. So again, feel free to leave comments or let me know you're here or questions, whatever. So into this business about emotional health and reframing. So before I get into it, I wanted to say reframing is taking a negative situation or a bad situation in our minds and finding a positive note to it. So I'm not saying taking a bad situation or an uncomfortable situation and saying that, oh no, it's not bad, it's good. I'm not saying that. That's really hard. We don't want to lie to ourselves either and say that a bad situation is good. What reframing really is it's taking a bad experience or bad situation and finding a good aspect or multiple good aspects of it to grasp onto and just to acknowledge that and diverge away from your negative thought pattern and kind of just latch on to the positive value that a situation might have. So I actually have this tattoo right here. So for any of you math nerds, that is the absolute value of X. And to me, that tattoo is signifying of X being a situation, any given situation, and it can be a bad or it can be a good situation, but no matter what, to me, that situation is going to have a positive value at the end of the day or at the end of the experience. And it's kind of my daily reminder to myself, at least, to find a positive value in any situation. So for fostering emotional health in children and implementing this idea of reframing with children or young people, we need to first allow this like step-by-step process. Like we don't want to just jump right into the like reframing. So first we want to do this expression or this owning of our emotions or their emotions and coaching them to do that. And then we want to go into this processing and talking about our emotions. And then finally we do this reframing and this maintenance of the reframing. And the first two factors before the reframing are really, really key. Everyone, when dealing with chaotic or powerful emotions, needs to respect the emotions that they're feeling at that time. They need to own those emotions and they need to express them before they can try to think about a situation or experience that they had in a different way. Denying emotions is truly, truly detrimental, and we want to make sure that we're owning those emotions first before we're trying to process and see them in a better light. So some tips on how to help kids, or honestly anybody, own or express their emotions is to really meet them where they are. So if the kid is starting to have a breakdown, or if they visibly look upset, or they're starting to distance, coming into their space and asking or allowing them to give you that cue that I'm sad, or I'm upset, or I'm mad, or I got hurt today, and really meeting them where they are and saying, look, what are you feeling? And really asking them to try to express that to you, whether it be through words, whether it be through actions, just really allowing them to own that and to also express it. So the other part of the expressing part is you first need to validate. So I'm going to say it a lot in this like talk because I wrote out my notes. So I know I'm going to say it a lot. Validate, validate, validate. And to validate means if they tell you I'm sad, your response is, okay, you're sad. It is not like, we don't want to ever gaslight somebody. So gaslighting is basically denying somebody else's experience, and no one person has any authority to deny any other person's experience. So gaslighting's been thrown around a lot in common culture, kind of in reference to more of relationships, but it does happen a lot at the with anybody that is superior to somebody that would be inferior in technicality of like an adult to a child, or a like young adult to like a teenager even. So we really want to validate. So allowing them to say what their emotions are, and then we tell them that that's like their emotions are true, that is what they are feeling. And then my tip, and it's what I do personally, and it's what has helped a lot of people, is to give them time to feel that emotion, to truly like take that emotion in themselves and express it. So for me, I literally take my kitchen timer and I set it to 10 minutes. And when I'm having a bad emotion or not a enjoyable emotion, I set that timer to 10 minutes and I give myself that 10 minutes to feel that emotion, express that emotion. And then when it's up, I look at myself and I'm like, okay, we're done. We're going to think about it somehow. We're going to think about it a different way, or we're just going to think about it and process it with ourselves. So when we're doing it and we're helping another person, it needs to be a discussion of like, kind of how much time do you need? Is it 10 minutes? Is it 30? But this is where like an adult to a child situation, the adult really needs to use like discernment, because you don't want to give them too little time and cut short like their expression of their emotion, but you also don't want to give them an extended length of time, because dwelling in our negative emotions and dwelling in our hurtful emotions can cause what we call schemas in the brain. And it's where when you constantly think one thing, you're more likely to think that again. So if we give ourselves too much time, or if we give kids too much time to dwell in those negative emotions, it can become habit, and we definitely don't want that. So after we give them an appropriate amount of time, then we come back and we think about processing and talking about it. So the first step, the only thing you are asking this child is, what is your emotion? Not why is it being caused? So the second step is where you can ask why, or what happened. And that's where you kind of like dig into it with the child or with the individual you're working with, and you just say, hey, what caused this? And just like get them to start thinking about it gradually. You don't want to force it on them. You don't want to demand that they tell you. And that's another big thing of like this whole process is I'm thinking specifically when I'm talking about like teenagers or even people my age, sometimes it's really hard to talk to your parents or talk to an adult that's in your life that you don't necessarily want them to be the one that's helping you. So if you're getting pushback from somebody and they don't want your help, it is best to find somebody that they trust and find a situation for them to go and talk to and use them as their like sounding board for this experience. That's not always possible, I know, but building that trust and allowing them to understand that when they don't want to talk to you, you'll find a different response for them. You won't force it on them is very key. So with this processing and talking, we really want to drive home like the validation part again. It's like, okay, you are sad that the park's not open right now, and like that is fair. It is very fair that you are sad right now, or you're sad you can't go to school right now. Like that validation factor is key for all of these steps. And so finally, after we've let them own their experience, we've let them kind of express it and like process it to us, then we go into this reframing. And this is actually something I got really into when I came to college, so like 4 years ago, this idea of reframing and what it means and like how we do it. So for the individual self, reframing can sometimes be hard, and it's oftentimes easier with another person, at least to me. So reframing this is where you are, you're helping them see some sort of positive piece or some sort of positive value in their situation. You're not telling them that that situation is great or it's that situation is fine. You're picking out one little thing or diverging it one little way so that they can focus on that instead of focusing on being hurt or sad or mad about the situation. For this, we want to be specific. Like you want to find one specific thing or two specific things about the situation. This is not telling somebody like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger or it'll get better. Like those are too vague, and like those can often lead to just consistently like feeling upset because that's not a specific thing that you can focus on. Instead, find something that's like very, so if I'm talking about the example of like I can't go to school, you could say like, yeah, but now you get to hang out with the dog a lot more and the dog loves that you're home. And then instead of saying like, oh, well, someday you'll be able to go back to school, you're giving them something to think about like right then in the moment. So this whole process works for processing our own emotions. It works for helping other people. But the big thing that we need to remember is that children especially mimic adults. So if they see you reframing your ways and they see you following good behavior and following good mental or emotional health practices, they will be more likely to adopt them. And even more powerful, just as like it's more powerful if they are watching you do the same thing that you're trying to help them with instead of you saying that they need to do this if you're not doing it too. So a big part of that is admitting your emotions to children that are around you or and showing them your emotions. I know that's really hard. We don't really like showing anybody our emotions, especially not like kids. But it's actually really powerful for their emotional development to see that being sad for a little bit is okay, or see that feeling a certain way is okay. We're not trying to stifle other people's emotions. So my final tip, and this actually applies to just helping anyone in general, is that when we look at what causes stress, because stress causes a lot of mental health issues and complications, one of the biggest cofactors to stress is this idea of being helpless. So when we're trying to assist somebody, especially emotionally, I like to come at it with a we perspective instead of an I and you perspective. So what I mean by that is that when you are helping somebody, instead of saying like, I will help you, or can I help you fix it? Or like something like that, where you're having an I and a you and you're separating these two concepts. Come at it as like, we're going to fix this together. It's much more empowering to have like a battle buddy is what I call it to my roommates, and they think I'm such a dork. But I often tell them to imagine us together standing side by side with like swords, and like we're just slaying our demons together, because that's way more empowering than saying that I'm going to help you fix your problems. By saying we're coming at it as one, they get like more of a sense of like they have an involvement in it. And ultimately it'll teach them better habits on how to help themselves emotionally as they go as well. So you might think all of that was cheesy. My roommates think I'm cheesy, but it actually does work. So just to close off, I'm going to give you guys like 2 examples of like good methods for reframing and like just like kind of how the process works. So the first one is that example of like the park is closed. So you first want to acknowledge, like, if you see that the child is visibly upset, like the park's closed, they're visibly getting upset. You want to come and meet them where they are and say like, okay, what are you feeling? Or show me what you're feeling. And then with that child, you can say, hey, 5 minutes. Does that work for you? 5 minutes. We can like be sad about this. Again, that's that we part. Like we can be sad about this. And then we're going to talk about it and like do something else. So after that 5 minutes are up, you ask them like, why are you sad? Like what made you upset? And they explain to you like the park's closed and I really wanted to play on the jungle gym, but I can't play on the jungle gym because we're not allowed to during COVID. And so you let them express that and you validate them every step of that way. And then you look at it and you say, okay, yes, the park is closed and that is sad. But you know what? You're a pretty cool kid, because when I was a kid, all I had was the like boring jungle gym over there. Like I didn't find creative ways to play. Like I didn't find and make up all these games, all these activities. Like you're like creating things. You're just being an awesome kid, and you give them things to redirect their focus from the park's closed to look at me, I'm doing like great things and I'm accomplishing other things and I'm being this creative kid. The other example I thought I'd share is actually a personal one, and it actually happened pretty recently, is that, as I mentioned earlier, I am graduating college in 8 days. Well, graduating college in 8 days because we are not having an official graduation ceremony, just like everybody pretty much globally. And for the last 2 months, I have truly been like, it doesn't bother me, like, haven't thought about it. Like, I was like, that's fine. I wasn't going to walk anyway. Like, my mom got really mad at me for saying I wasn't going to walk at graduation. And then, so when COVID happened, I was like, doesn't bother me. Then 3 days ago, I got my cap and gown in the mail. And I remember just sitting there and thinking, wow, this actually, like, sucks. I got really upset, and I texted my mom, and I was like, you know what, I'm actually like, this is actually a bummer. And I did my thing, and I gave myself those like 10 minutes to just kind of like get it together. And the key factor in this is my mom texted me back is like, you know what, like, it's okay to be sad. Like, that is something you should be sad about. Like, you don't get to have that experience. And she validated me in being sad. And then she said, but you know what? Next time I see you, we're going to have a great party. We're going to celebrate you, and we're going to honor your accomplishments. It might not be walking across the stage in front of 10,000 people, but it's celebrating with people that really care about you. And so just those little things that she did to help me, as somebody that is older and can reframe kind of on my own, it still helps to have somebody there to encourage me and to offer that kind of like guide by guide step. So if you're working with older kids, they might just need a couple little hints. If you're working with younger kids, they might need more of a like step by step guide. So it's also like you don't want to overstep in this whole process. Letting them come to their own like resources and letting them reframe on their own will also be beneficial as they grow, because they'll be able to do it as an adult. So yeah, I know I've said a lot, and I really appreciate anybody listening live or anybody watching this after. If anybody has any questions, I can stay on for a few minutes, try to answer them. I will also obviously check back on the comments and their questions when I can throughout the next couple days, and try and answer everybody's questions as best I can. Okay, so I don't think we're going to have any questions, but thanks for listening. I hope everybody has a happy and safe weekend. Yeah, bye.